Hello everyone, this is Direwolf20, and welcome to part 3 of my mod spotlight for the Witchery mod. We've got a lot of stuff to cover in part 3. I'm hoping I'll be able to get most of it done, but rest assured there's going to be some stuff I still won't be able to show you, even across 3 spotlights. That's just how huge this mod is. But, you know, there's plenty to get to today, and I'm going to show you some of my favorite items and some of the cool advanced stuff you can do with Witchery. So without further ado, let's get started. So one of the first places I'd like to take you guys today is the spirit world. The spirit world is kind of like a dream world where pretty much anybody who's dreaming basically enters the spirit world without knowing it. However, when you want to, as a witch, you can go there all by yourself forcibly. One of the first things I'm going to tell you guys is that you might want to snag an Icy Needle. That's probably a good way to make sure that you're ready to come back when you want to. Otherwise, you're going to be in a little trouble there if you don't have one of these. Simply harvest snow bells, and occasionally they will drop an Icy Needle. It's a rare drop, so, you know, keep that in mind. And then to get to the spirit world, well, there's a couple things involved. So it's a good thing I told you guys to get Icy Needles, because they're one of the ingredients you're going to need to enter the spirit world. You're also going to need a whiff of magic, some milk and cookies, a brew of love, and a water artichoke load. That'll get you the Brew of Sleeping. Let's go ahead and drink one and see what happens. First off, you'll notice that you're teleported to a world that's almost a mirror image of the world you came from. However, there might be some differences. So you can see here, it's pretty much the same terrain, except it doesn't have all the stuff that I've built. So this is where my circle would have been in the overworld, and this is where my forest is with my altar, and all that stuff. Also in this world, you'll occasionally find some items that are unavailable in the overworld, so you'll have to visit this place if you're looking to get some of these items. What you'll find in here, here's an example right over here. Wispy Cotton. This Wispy Cotton can be used for some of the interesting things in the mod. It's going to require a spinning wheel, which I'll show you in a moment, and that will get you the fanciful thread, which you'll also need for some other ingredients and some other cool stuff like Dreamweavers. And I'll introduce you guys to what Dreamweavers are shortly. Now, here's the other thing about this place. Sometimes when you enter the spirit world, right now it looks like I'm having a nice dream. That's all well and good. But you might have a nightmare, and that would not be a good time. Let's wake ourselves up by right-clicking with the Icy Needle. Also, you might have noticed, by the way, that your inventory is empty. Why would that be? Well, you're dreaming. It's not you that teleported here. This is your dream state. You're not going to carry your inventory with you. But the good news is that you can transport certain things back and forth, like the Icy Needles came with me. And when I wake up, the Wispy Cotton will follow me as well. And you'll see that it landed in my inventory back in the overworld. Let's go back to sleep and see if we have a nightmare. Uh-oh. This definitely looks like a nightmare. This is not good. Nightmares. Oh, physical manifestations of your nightmares are, well, not terribly uncommon. They are pretty nasty, as a matter of fact, and have a lot of health and are very hard to kill. But there's some things we can do to manage this. Also, while having a nightmare, there's a chance that you'll get another type of cotton when breaking this Wispy Cotton. I'm going to break a few here and see what we get. I better wake myself up. Looks like I managed to get some disturbed cotton, which can make tormented twine. This stuff is used for other recipes and other things. So a spinning wheel is not terribly hard to make, as you can see here. I'm going to go ahead and get myself one of these bad boys and show you what's involved in using it. Let's just place it over here, somewhat near our altar. As you can see, it has a little one of those symbols there, so it is going to require a nearby altar to fuel the power of the spinning wheel. I'm going to go ahead and toss in my Wispy Cotton and check out what the recipes are for the spinning wheel. It looks like we're going to have to throw in some string and an odor of purity. All right, let's see. Some string, please, and an odor of purity. Just kind of toss these guys in here, and there it goes. Progress bar is running. So we know we did something right, and the spinning wheel is spinning along, crafting for us some cool stuff. There we go, fanciful thread. So what can we use this fanciful thread for? Well, mostly they're going to be used for dream weaving artifacts. These are a couple different things that basically give you buffs while you sleep. So the Dreamweaver of the Fleet Foot gives you a speed boost. Okay, you can see here it requires some of this fanciful thread, and it also requires a bit of tormented twine. So, pretty neat. We can also see the Dreamweaver of the Iron Arm, the Dreamweaver of Fasting, and these all give buffs to the player. And finally, there's the Dreamweaver of Nightmares, and the reason this is useful is it's going to actually reduce your chance of Dreamweavers of having nightmares, because basically what Dreamweavers do is they will filter what's going on in your dreams. So this Dreamweaver of Nightmares will help to filter out the nightmares and give you a better chance of having a peaceful dream as opposed to a nightmare. So let's take a look at how this might work. And you'll also note about this Dreamweaver of Nightmares, it only requires Tormented Twine. That's because it's actually very rare that you'll have a peaceful dream without having this Dreamweaver nearby. I think it's like a 1% chance. So the fact that I got one the first time during the spotlight was extremely lucky. So let's place that Dreamweaver of Nightmares down again, and we'll grab ourselves a few more sleeping potions. And now let's see if we get lucky. So we happen to have a good luck. It significantly increases your chance of having a peaceful dream, but you do have the chance of having still have a nightmare. There's other things you can boost to have a better chance of having a nice peaceful dream, as you can see. Basically the difference is it's either day or night, and that'll tell you. Also, those evil creatures, the manifestations, the nightmares, will be after you, and believe me, they're nasty. So now that we've managed to find ourselves into a dream, we can get some regular old Wispy Cotton and head back to the overworld. But that's not all there is to dreams, by the way. Why don't I show you something very important about the dream dimension? So before I can really tell you some more things about the spirit world, we're going to need to get ourselves a couple things. So why don't I demonstrate all the processes that are involved to get what we want to get towards. First off, we're going to want to check out the rite of summoning a familiar. Now we already saw how we can bind a familiar to ourselves, but we can summon a spectral familiar using the following rite. Hey little guy, how's it going? So this Spectral Familiar is pretty nice. He's going to hang out with us and do some really cool things. First off, he's really good at finding stuff. So if you give him something you want him to find, like a diamond, he might go and look for it if there's any nearby that he can find. So this little guy will follow you around. As you can see, he's following me right now, and he's currently hunting for diamonds. Come here, buddy. Can you find any for me? That would be nice. He doesn't have a terribly large range in which he can search, but he will eventually find one. Oh, there we go. He oinked at me. I guess there's something down here. Let's go take a look and see if there's actually diamonds deep and down here. Wherever he stops is where you're probably going to find him. And look at that. He was right. There were diamonds here. Nice job, little familiar. I will keep you around. He can find all kinds of stuff, by the way. A little bit of metal, a little bit of all kinds of other stuff. So whatever you give him, he'll kind of hunt down. Mostly ores, that kind of thing. But he has another very useful feature. Let's go ahead and, unfortunately, we do have to kill the little guy for this. And I recommend using the Arthana because it's going to give you, like I said, a better chance at drops. So there's a rare drop that comes from undead in this mod. You can kill either skeletons or zombies. But if you kill this guy, you'll wind up with a Spectral Dust. This is going to be used in one of the rituals we're about to perform. So the rite of necromancy is really cool. You have to perform it at night though, so make sure that it is nighttime when you're performing this rite. Let's actually make sure nobody interrupts me. So all you need is a bone. Let's see what else. A tombstone, rotten flesh, and wood ash, an iron sword, and some of that spectral dust. Let's activate this ritual and see what we get. The Necromancy Stone is really neat. It allows you control over the undead. Though, unfortunately, it's not just any undead that you can control with the Necromancer Stone. You're going to have to go ahead and control certain undead, specifically ones that you raise with certain brewing potions. Remember I showed you earlier back in part 1 of this spotlight that there's a brew that will actually summon undead for you. Let's find it. The brew of raising will raise undead wherever you happen to throw this potion. Just make sure you're not in peaceful when you're trying it out. And if you have a Necromancy Stone in your inventory, these undead will obey your commands. Go after it and kill that little baby zombie. Take him down, guys. So these undead will follow your commands. Right-click on a block and they'll all head towards that block. Right-click on an enemy and they'll attack it. This goes for players too, by the way. But of course, like all undead, once it goes to daytime, they will die. Sorry guys, you were useful for a while, but I'm done with you. Now the next rite we're going to conduct is pretty interesting. If we throw in some Spectral Dust, some Maleficent Hunger, a Golden Pickaxe, an Arthana, and one of these Necromantic Stones... Oh yeah, and don't forget some gunpowder. Dun, dun, dun. And you'll note that, like the Arthana, the Necromantic Stone is not used up. Your player is going to get a little bit of an interesting buff. Why don't I show you what's involved by jumping back over into the Dream stage. Let's make sure we're near a Dreamweaver, and hopefully we manage to find ourselves in a dream. Oh good, we did. Oh no, it's a nightmare. Dun dun dun. So let me show you something interesting about the spirit world. If you create yourself a snow portal, as shown here, just like that, and you get yourself a brew of flowing spirit, which by the way has a bunch of its own unique properties. Number one, it can only be brewed in the spirit world, so if you want to make this brew, you have to be in the spirit world to make it. When you throw it on the ground, it has some healing properties, and it creates a liquid source block that you can pick up, and it also affects nightmares so that it makes them a little bit weaker. So it's a good way to fight nightmares, is to weaken them with the brew of flowing spirit, and then you're able to attack them for some more damage. But if you toss this into the portal, we can step through. Now, remember I told you you're actually sleeping here, so it's your spirit that was entered into the location. Look there. Hey, it's me sleeping, and I am a ghost. Hello. So my spirit has entered the spirit world, and I'm left in the overworld sleeping. In a multiplayer server, your player will be left in the overworld asleep, and you will be in the spirit world as a ghost. So keep that in mind, especially if you're in an environment where you might have other players who want to come attack you. If you're killed while you're asleep here, your spirit will be pulled out of the spirit world and back into your body, but of course you'll be dead, so you'll have to respawn back at your bed. To switch back from the overworld and back into the spirit world, once again you're going to want to use an Icy Needle to send your spirit back to the spirit world. And then again, use the Icy Needle to send your spirit back to your body, and oh look, we're awake again. Cool. So that's something really important that you should note about the spirit world travel. And there's a couple other things to note about the spirit world. If you die in the spirit world, you will be returned to your body with really no negative side effects. So that's basically the way to get back if you don't have an Icy Needle. And there's a couple other things to note about the spirit world that I'll let you find on your own. And just one more really important note is that wherever the portal is created in the spirit world is where your spirit is going to enter back in the overworld. That could be useful. The next thing I want to tell you guys about is a different mechanic, once again, kind of related to circles, but about a couple other things are related to this as well. That is Coven Witches. Let's spawn one. Typically, these are found in huts throughout the world and also in some villages. A Coven Witch is basically a friendly witch, unlike the evil witches that we are familiar with from Minecraft, and these Coven Witches might join your coven to help out with stuff. Uh-oh. Electra Eldritch tells me I am not skilled in the art. Why would that be? Let's find out. So by summoning Schrodinger here, now this witch will helpfully talk to me. She's telling me that she must perform many curses and therefore wants me to bring a necessary brew. Speak to me again if you accept. All right. Go now. All right, so I have to find a brew for her. Let's see. What kind of brew do I need? So obviously I'm not really sure which brew I need, so I just gave myself a bunch of them, and we're going to talk to this one again. I still haven't completed the task? Oh my. Let's try this out. We actually have to right-click on her with the correct potion. There we go. So I've managed to find the Brew of the Grotesque is what she's looking for. There we are. She's told me she will join my coven. Call me when you have need. Cool. You can have actually several witches join your coven, and different witches might request different things. Bring me the beating means to master the infernal dimension. I bet I know what that means. Let's speak to him again to accept, and get ourselves a demon heart. I'm going to go ahead and guess that's what he wants. Oh, thanks. He will join my coven now. The total max number of witches you can have in your coven is 6. And if we take a look in the circle magic note here, we can find that certain of the rites here do require multiple witches in your coven. For example, the Rite of Bestial Call requires a coven of 3 or more. Other rites will simply go ahead and get buffed if you actually use a coven on them. In order to call your witches for some of these rituals, you're going to need to get the following item. It's called the Rite of Infusion for a stone that will allow you to communicate to your coven. However, it has to be performed at night, otherwise you'll get the message that I just did. So if we go ahead and make sure it's nighttime, we'll see that now we're going to get this nifty little device. This is the Seer Stone, and it's going to allow you to summon the Witch's Coven to help you perform your magical rites that require witches. So the following ritual is an example of one that requires a coven to cast. In order for this to work, you have to indicate to the circle that you want to use your coven by right-clicking on it instead of with anything, but make sure to use the Seer Stone. There we go, and your coven will appear to help you to cast your rite. I've managed to get 4 of these witches to join my coven, and we're going to see what this ritual is going to do for us. Ooh, this looks nasty. What's happening? I'm a little nervous. It's raining! It's raining toads! Those toads are poisonous, by the way, so watch out. What witchery mod would be complete without your own flying broom? Of course, this exists. So, first off, get a broom. And then get yourself some flying ointment right here, which is another part of brewing in a kettle. Cool. Let's go ahead and combine these in a ritual and see what happens. Unknown rite, why would that be? Ah, perform at night. That's right. Anytime you get that message unknown rite and you're pretty sure your ingredients are correct, check the requirements. Hey, there we go. A flying enchanted broom. Nice. All you gotta do once you have this broom is right-click on the ground to place it. And then you can right-click on the broom to mount. And you should be able to fly around pretty well. Nice. Now it is a flying broom, so you don't have ultimate control of it. You will be able to navigate just a little bit though. It's a little tricky to fly around on, but once you get the hang of things, you'll have no problem. Make sure to slow down a little bit before you decide to turn. Cool. Ah, cactus. And if you really want to, you can even right-click on it with some dye to color the broom bristles. Cool. I want to go with some cyan. You guys know that's like one of my favorites. Nice. By the way, if you have an owl familiar, you get a little bit better control of your broom. And it's a little bit tricky to fly, so be careful with it. But once you get the hang of it, it's really not too bad. You more or less, if you want to turn the broom, kind of face the direction you want to go, and your broom will turn in that direction, slowly but surely. You won't be able to strafe with it unless you have an owl familiar. And then just hold shift to dismount and left click it, and you'll be able to break it and it'll turn back into its item form. The next thing you're going to want to try out is the Mystic Unguent combined with an Ent Twig. Again, perform this ritual at night. And you're going to get yourself, check out this bad boy. This is the Mystic Branch. What is this Mystic Branch, you might ask? Well, it's basically a magic wand. You can use it to cast all kinds of different spells. You just need to remember the different, let's say, magical spell motions you're going to need in order to do what you want to do. Let's start off with a basic one and create a pool of water. Shouldn't be too hard to manage. So simply hold right-click and your magical wand will be activated. And then move the mouse in certain directions. And the combination of directions you move determines the spell you're going to cast. For example, to create water, we want to go up, up, right, right, down. And you can see we've got Aquamenti. And now as I move my mouse around, it's no longer a problem, and it's no longer recording my mouse movements. Once I release right-click, ta-da! It's going to cast the spell and create the pool of water. It's also going to drain a little bit of my infused power from my infusion bar on the left. So keep in mind that this is not free of cost. So creating water, that sounds a little boring. There must be something better, right? Check this one out. Expelliarmus! Ha! Flipendo! And let's not forget one of our favorites. Uh-oh. Impedimentia. Haha. Slowed you. Here's a good one. Nope, not that. Lumos. And let's not forget Protego. Ha! There's a little shield around me. Nice. And if you want to get really complicated with it, you can try out this one. Let's see. It's really hard to do, but... Stupefy. Ha! Stunned. You can't move. That is awesome. Does Avada Kedavra exist? I don't know. You can find a list of most of the different combinations of movements of this Mystic Wand on the wiki for Witchery. There's a couple that are secret that you're going to have to discover yourself. So what else can I show you guys that's pretty nifty? Here's something cool. Icy Slippers will turn any water that you walk on into ice. Let's take a look. Ha! Cool. So it's a great way to escape some enemies or have some fun. Just walk across the water and it turns into ice. Another one is the Biting Belt. This is actually a very useful belt. What it is, it's something you can wear in your leg slot, and what you can do is you can combine it with any vanilla potion, like the Potion of Regeneration. And anytime you get attacked, let's say, you've got, let's say a zombie chasing after you. If you get attacked by this zombie or anything else, like another player, the effects will apply to you. This only works once, however, so you have to recharge it with another potion before it'll work again. However, there's some upgrades coming to the Biting Belt, I believe, in a future version of the mod. We've also got Ender Brambles, which are pretty hard to make. They do require something along with, similar to the way we made the owls. It's a pretty complicated recipe, but once you get it, they're a great trap. Anybody who walks into the Ender Brambles will be teleported a random distance away. You've also got a couple useful divining rods, like the water diviner. Simply hold right click, and eventually it'll tell you whether or not there's water down nearby. If there isn't, you'll get those little particle effects like we just saw. And it does search pretty deep underground. Let me get off these slippers before I turn this water into ice. You can see here, it's indicating that there's water very close nearby. If I hold right click here, we'll see that there's probably nothing. The longer you hold, the deeper it's going to search. And the lava diviner is pretty similar. It's going to go ahead and search for lava underground, and it's a good way to find lava pools nearby. Some of my favorite traps that are included in the mod are these magical flowers. They look like flowers, but they're actually traps. You need a pressure plate and some brews and a rose, and you actually get a couple of these things. You can look up here in NEI. There's a few of them available. So there's several roses and several dandelions and a couple other things that you can hide. So let's check out the Rose of Ink. Basically, it's a trap. It looks just like a normal rose, but when a player walks by, it uses the ink potion on them and causes them to be blind. Same goes for the Dandelion of Webs, for example. It looks just like a dandelion, but when the player walks by, webs. Another sneaky trap, if you want to check out tag locks, there's a couple ways you can get tag locks aside from finding a player's bed. Simply have a rose of thorns nearby, and when a player walks over it, he has no idea. However, you can now sneak over and grab something from the thorns. It'll give you some of their DNA into a tag lock kit, and you can use it to bind to poppets or whatever else you want to do with it. Pretty cool. Another option is the Leech Chest. Another tricky thing to create, similar to the owls. This is a chest within which you can store items, just like any other chest. However, anybody who opens it is going to leave behind a little bit of sample of blood, and you'll be able to once again go ahead and get it from a tag lock. You can't remove your own tag lock from a chest though, so it'll only work when other players grab it. But it's an awesome looking little chest as well. That is so cool. Very neat. This nifty charm here, called the Polynesia Charm, allows you to trade with animals. Sometimes animals might find some rare stuff nearby, like Trifid Seeds. Ooh, I want to get some of those, actually. Let's get myself a few pieces of raw chicken and show you guys what Trifid Seeds are all about. He'll find a couple other things, and sometimes these animals can find some pretty rare stuff. So make sure to check out this Polynesia Charm and trade with animals when you can. The Trifid Seed? Well, that's a little bit of a different story. So Trifids are basically loyal plants that will attack any other creatures nearby, including other players. So watch out, because he will chase after entities and NPCs and all kinds of other stuff, and players. If you want them to be friendly to somebody, just go ahead and grab a tag lock and give it to him, and he'll now no longer attack that creature. So you can see he's no longer going to attack the wolf. Pretty neat, right? So if you want to have a friend or two that enters your base, no problem. But this Trifid will attack anybody who comes nearby. You can also make some doors out of some of the neat wood that's added by this mod, and each of these doors has different properties. For example, the rowan wood door here, as soon as you place in the world, you get a key, and the only person who can open the door is the one who uses the key on it. Pretty cool. You can also check out some Redstone Signal properties of this thing. When you apply a Redstone Signal, it'll close the door, but it won't open it back up. The alderwood door is pretty similar, except it looks just like a regular door and opens just like a regular door. However, here's the interesting part, it emits a redstone signal whenever opened. So if you want to have a door that leads into your house and trick players into opening it, and then all of a sudden a redstone signal activates a trap, go for it. Once again, it does not look like a door in your inventory. It just looks like a regular old door when it's placed in the world. And believe me guys, there's actually a few things I didn't get to in this mod spotlight, which you know is pretty rare, but this mod is just that big. There's a couple bosses that are really hard to come by. There's a crystal ball that allows you to predict the future, and there's a few other things that I just want to leave a little bit of a secret for you to find out on your own. So if you haven't done it yet, I highly recommend downloading this mod, Witchery. It's really a lot of fun to play with, and I also didn't even come close to showing you all the different circles that are available. Circle magic is crazy. Like I said, there's about 70 pages worth of stuff in this book. There's all kinds of things like being able to change biomes, and as we saw, summon demons, volcanoes, total eclipse of the sun, moving earth, boiling food, fertility, shifting seasons, like just tons and tons and tons of spells that we didn't get a chance to try out. And by the way, maybe I'll do one more ritual just for fun. Alright guys, so this about wraps it up for the Witchery mod spotlight. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as always, this is Direwolf20 signing off. Definitely recommend downloading it if you haven't tried it yet. Alright guys, take it easy!